Hello, beautiful star seeds. Please enjoy this video provided by Gaia TV. If you want to know more about my partnership and interviews with Gaia, please check out the links in the description below and enjoy.
How do we know angels aren't ETs?
I don't know if we do. It just depends on who you're asking.
You can't rule that out.
Yeah, I do not rule anything out anymore because I've seen enough. Ezekiel's story with the chariot of fire coming down and wheels, and I mean, you know,
Looks like a UFO.
It's very suspiciously alienish.
It's something.
Okay, not all aliens are angels, and vice versa.
Well, welcome to Beyond Belief. What a program we have in store for you today. Corinne Grillo, the author of The Angel Experiment and the founder of the Angel Alchemy Academy, is a trained psychotherapist, angel channeler, healer, and a teacher. Corinne has helped thousands of people all over this planet to go from angel curious to angel empowerment. That's a pretty good gift, Corinne.
Yeah. I mean, I'm digging it.
How did this all happen for you? How did this evolve where you got involved in angels?
Yeah, well, it happened abruptly. It was nothing that I was looking for. I was not raised a religious person, and really kind of like snubbed all things religion for many years.
But you're spiritual.
Well, I surely am now. Yes,
okay.
yes. So what I didn't realize back then was that being religious wasn't a requirement to get divine support. So yeah, when the angels entered into my life, it was abrupt. I witnessed a miracle, and that miracle was the first of many miracles that I've experienced over the last 10 years.
Did you ask for the miracle, or did it just
I did
happen?
not ask for the miracle.
Can you tell us what it was?
It just happened. Yeah, I mean, long story short, I was going through a really rough period in my life. I was on my way to a client's house, and I was doing community mental health back then.
Okay.
Driving down the street, and a few days prior, I had had an angel healing done for me, and I didn't know what that was. But she said when I left the session to talk to the angels as if they're real, and that's what I did. So I started talking to the angels, and I started feeling better, feeling lighter, and I was extraordinarily depressed at the time. And within days, my depression started dissolving the more that I talked to the angels. But the actual miracle was when I was driving down the road and a bird fell from the sky, landed in front of my car. I slowly drove around it, and I saw that the bird had a mangled wing. And
oh my God.
Yeah, and I was like, okay, this is not really what I had in mind today.
Yeah.
So I asked the angels, because I'd been talking to the angels for like 3 days and asking them for help. So I decided to do my new trick, which is ask the angels for help. So I asked the angels to come and take this bird out of its suffering. And as I drove around the bird and I continued to look and pray for it, I saw the bird with my own eyeballs transform from that bird that was about pigeon size into 3 tiny birds and fly away. So I saw one pop up out of the body of the bird, fly away.
They saved
a second
the bird.
And a third. They transformed a bird into 3 healthy flying birds. And that was when I realized this is no joke. Angels are real, and that was just the beginning of this incredible journey of discovering the reality of spirit and the divine and life, and how easily available this kind of divine intervention is for anyone, for anybody.
And a journey you have never looked back at now. It just keeps going forward.
It is like a constant evolution of awesome. Yes.
Your last episode with us is still being talked about by our viewers. You did a great job. What is it that touches people's nerves when you talk about angels?
I think my sense is that it's the same thing that touched me when I was, that period, that miracle that I just witnessed. I felt so alone and like I didn't have any purpose. And so many people out there feel that same thing. They're going through the motions in life. And I feel like the reality of angels is so important, especially right here on the planet We are designed for this kind of support. We just don't know it. We didn't know it. I didn't know it. So I think that it's the truth of love. It's the love that people sense behind the words that makes it believable and real. And I personally, George, I am shocked that people believe me.
Why not?
I know.
What's not to believe, right?
Well, that's the thing is like, people can sense when someone's like being authentic and real and when someone's just making stuff up. It took me years to talk about this miracle, and it took me years to acknowledge that I was having this radical experience with the reality of angels because I was a psychotherapist at the time. So, but love is love, and that is the medicine that we all need. And I had not had that medicine until the angels came that day. And I think it's since that day, we have, and all of us have the capacity to follow the trail of love,
right,
as opposed to the trail of hurt.
Do you follow your intuition a lot?
Yes, and that is something that occurred after that incident. It was like my spiritual gifts and my intuition.
It woke up.
My healing abilities. Yeah, it's like this whole new world woke up, and I could hear a new voice inside of me that for once wasn't trying to tear me down. It was actually trying to lift me up and get me to do really interesting, weird things like learn more about angels.
Well, I talked with Jeffrey Mishlove, who is into all of this in a big, big way. And he talked about why some people have better intuition than others and what the difference is with people. Why are some people better at intuition than others?
Well, sometimes it's just sort of beaten out of you. You know, if you're a young boy, you probably remember this yourself. Big boys don't cry.
They're not supposed to.
Yeah, you know, don't be in touch with your inner feelings.
I think I get more emotional the older I get, by the way, Jeff.
Yeah, sure. It's because we allow ourselves to get in touch a little more with the inner child, which you could say that's the intuitive part.
How many people, though, do not act on their intuition and something happens to them and they go, oh, I knew it, I knew it.
Doesn't that happen often?
All the time.
Yeah. Yeah, our culture is heavily out of balance. We emphasize the sensational, we emphasize the intellect, we emphasize emotions, but intuition is the least emphasized of our human talents.
You know, as I started off with that, Corinne, how many people don't act on their intuition? They feel it, they know it, but they just kind of pass it off. What do you have to do to get people to realize this is happening to me?
Yeah, I mean, I think about my own life and how if I had not listened to the nudge to learn more about angels or to the nudge to actually talk about angels in front of people and share my story, how crazy different my life would be. And the thing is that our intuition, our divine guidance is constantly trying to set us free. It's constantly trying to break us out of our emotional prison, our financial prison, our creative prison, our relationship prison. But the only way that Spirit can really intervene for us is through our intuition, through our gut feelings. And so it is imperative that we kind of take that side of ourselves seriously and ask ourselves, like, what if this is possible? And then go in that direction. Because really, the only way you're really going to find out if your intuition is right is doing what your intuition is guiding you. Within reason. So I do want to say there's a caveat here because a lot of people talk about open your intuition, listen to your intuition, but you also have to use like logic too.
Sure.
You know, and a lot of people
You
miss
sounded
that
like
step.
Bruce Willis from Die Hard.
I do.
Yeah, for a split. Go to New York, have a good time, or whatever that line was. Angels. Remember the movie It's a Wonderful Life with Jimmy Stewart?
Yes.
The classic movie.
Yes.
He was despondent. He wanted to end his life, and he was going to jump into a river. And he's standing on the bridge, contemplating when he's about ready to jump. And all of a sudden, there's a guy in the river drowning. Help! Help! He dives in and saves the guy's life, pulls him out, forgets about committing suicide, and saves the guy. Well, the guy turned out to be his guardian angel, Clarence, who was sent down to save him. Does it happen that way?
Yeah, I think sometimes it does. And sometimes it's way more subtle than that. Sometimes it's just an opportunity, maybe a new thought, a new inspiration, or a new dream. Let's say someone is just miserable at work and they hate their boss.
Or in a relationship.
Or in
anything.
in a relationship. Essentially in anything that feels like crap. You know, we don't give ourselves a chance to dream bigger because the voice of doubt kind of overpowers us. But what I've learned from the angels and when I teach people around the world is that there's another voice in there. And it's our duty to begin to open up to the possibility that that positive voice in there is way more real than the negative one trying to tear us down. So I just want to stress, it's not always like birds dividing into three to get your attention. You know, I was that dense, that low vibration that I needed something like, whoosh, I needed a cosmic smack in the head to kind of wake me up. But not everybody needs that. Some people that, you know, right now the angels are right there. Your spirit team is right here, right now.
Do we call them or do they just show up?
Well, they're here, but they definitely come closer the more that we become adept at calling them in a variety of ways. But they're here. It's just a matter of putting them to work, asking for the right things and putting them to work.
Do you see them or feel them?
Both, but my biggest sense is feeling. So I can feel the presence of spirit. I can feel truth. I can, you know, so there's different spiritual gifts that we have. Some of us are more visual. Some of us are more sensing. Mm-hmm. And so I was first activated with the presence of spirit around me. So when that bird divided into three, it was an incredible feeling of goosebumps up and down and this incredible love. So with clients and in general, I can feel when there's angels in the room. And then on a really good day, I'm seeing them in full apparition.
What do they look like? Do they have wings?
Yeah, they appear in a lot of different ways to different people. So I've definitely seen some with wings, but I would say it's not like...
Are they family members who passed on? Who are they?
Well, there's different kinds of beings out there. So there's angels, and then there's loved ones, ancestors. And so the more practice that you work with your intuition, the more that you learn to discern what is what. Is it a fairy? Is it an alien? Is it an angel? You know, who's coming in right now?
Gene Slatter appeared on the Gaia program Open Minds, talking about several reasons that give us trouble accessing the truth. Let's take a look at that, and I want you to react to what she means.
Mm-hmm. There's actually like 4 main reasons why we have difficulty accessing our truth. And the first one is the filters that we have. We've talked about the experiment that was done with the gorilla.
Oh, that was embarrassing. I did that one. And, there were a whole bunch of us. And this is the video of the basketball players throwing the balls back and forth, right? And the gorilla passing through the room. So you can find it on YouTube. I don't remember what it's under, but I think using those search words you can find
The missing gorilla.
Yeah, the missing gorilla. Okay.
Yeah, so an audience was asked to watch how often the people in the white t-shirts pass the basketball. So they are focused in on just that.
Yeah.
And that's the way our mind works. We pick a focus and we don't see anything else. And meanwhile, a gorilla walks into the room and thumps his chest and then walks off. And then the audience is asked, did you see the gorilla? And they go, what gorilla? You know.
I know because I did it at the time. Of course, you all, spoiler alert, you know what it is now. But
right.
For those who haven't done it, I did it, and there were a few other people in the room that did it. Only one out of the group of us saw the gorilla. I did not see the gorilla. I was so focused.
Yes.
And it was so embarrassing. You think, how can the brain trick ourselves like that? It's really, I thank you for bringing it up. It is one of the most shocking demonstrations of the filters we use.
I wonder if we should have a gorilla walk through the set. Right?
Yeah, I bet you have already, and I just didn't
see it?
notice. Yeah, I don't know.
But what does that all mean?
Yeah, I mean, I love what she's saying here. It's a hyper focus, and I want to put this to real life. So right now, your viewers right now are getting inspired. They're getting inspiration from the divine, from their angels, to make a change that's beautiful, or maybe to be of service to the world or to their families in a different way. But because they're so focused on the thing that's right in front of them, they will miss the guidance. So it's important that, especially when we're trying to up-level our lives, take the next level, or make a big power move,
right,
that we listen, we realize what we're doing, the hyper focus, and do take steps back to be able to open up our antennas to the inspiration.
You know that little voice we hear in our heads, everybody does, don't do this, do that. Mm-hmm. Is that an angel or is that us? Who's telling us these things?
Yeah, I think sometimes it's a combination. So at a certain point, what Spirit and what the angels showed me is that a lot of our thoughts, we think they're unique to us, but sometimes it is a different energy coming in, feeding us. So sometimes it's an angel, and and it's a beautiful way to really think about your own thoughts. So if you have guidance or an inspiration to move your life in a certain direction and it excites you, however, it's a little scary because it's going to require some change, wouldn't you rather follow that voice of the angel than the one that's tearing you down? So yeah, you can see it as your own voice, but I do like to see the positive inspiration as angelic.
Do we summon angels, or do they just show up?
Well, I think they're just here, but there are powerful ways.
Right?
They're everywhere. I mean, they're interdimensional, and from what I've seen, even people who had never spoken to angels or called on angels, when they came into my office, there was always angels around them. And so what I do is I teach people how to powerfully talk to them so that they make sure they're more attractive, more visible.
Explain that. How would you do that? Take us through that.
I work a lot with invocation, which is a really traditional way of doing magic. And so, or calling on any priest is doing an invocation first. So, so you can ask the angels to come. You ask them for, well, always give gratitude. So gratitude's important. But then you ask them for a certain something. So if you need to feel better about a breakup, Archangel Michael, I ask that you come to me now and release me from the pain that's in my heart.
Please.
Thank you. Please help me. Yeah. And then you wait, and you imagine that that angel is there coming and releasing you. And it's amazing how many people can feel a shift and change within minutes if they go through that, even the very simple step of doing that. What a lot of people don't do is they don't wait for the change, the energetic change inside of them. They just, help me, and then they move on to the next thing because they're moving too fast through life.
Right.
So it is important to sit and experience the shift and the transformation after you invoke.
Does the angel know already what you need without us asking?
Well, that's an interesting question.
You're hesitating.
Well, here's the thing. You know what you need more than any other being on the planet or outside of the planet.
We should.
We should. Well, we have the blueprint inside of us. We have a purpose, and we know who we are at an essence level. So I like to always empower the human first and say, you know what you do if you follow your joy. Follow your joy. What do you need? Then you call on an angel to come and help you, rather than begging something outside of yourself for direction.
Right.
Now, it's nice to pray and ask for guidance, but I think a lot of people displace their power onto people and other things outside of themselves. But over time, I realized, and I've really seen with my own clients and the people that I work with, that they have the blueprint in here. And what they need angel and divine support with most is to execute that plan, execute that blueprint.
Does the angel always perform, or do they sometimes not show up?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of times you can feel like the angels are not coming through for you.
You feel like you're alone, right?
Yeah, it's like, well, that didn't work out. But I always like to give an example of someone who's wishing that their boyfriend would come back to them. And they beg the angels, please help me. I need him back. I just love him so much. And it just doesn't work out. He runs off with someone else and gets married. They might think that the angels didn't come through for them, but really the angels did come through because that other person was probably just a punk and not really great for them. And at a heart level, essence level, they're preparing you for something that's even better. So a lot of times we ask for things that are not in alignment for our best and highest good. And in those cases, angels often Spirit doesn't collude with that. But what they do is collude with something that's in alignment for your joy, for your heart, for your soul. And if you like to be of service, they really love helping people to be of service.
What if you ask for something unrealistic? Will they still try to help you?
Yeah, that's interesting. Well, what do you mean by unrealistic?
Well, a goal that may not be reachable. Maybe you want $10 million, something that's ludicrous.
Right. Well, I mean, maybe it's not ludicrous. So I say, if it feels out of reach for you, ask anyways, because there's no harm. There's no harm to ask for a $100 million company in my case, even what I'm doing today was 10 years ago, far beyond anything that seemed realistic. So I say ask for the vision, just make sure it's coming from the right place.
What does manifestation mean to you?
Yeah, manifesting is I think when a human claims their right to the life that they desire and they deserve, and they can do it in a variety of different ways. They can do it through magic, through meditation. I love working with angels because angels tend to expedite the manifesting process. People talk a lot about the law of attraction, but I feel like working with including angels in that formula puts your manifestations on steroids.
It does.
I think so. Yeah,
it
for
does.
me. Yeah.
Is it important to manifest?
It depends on who you are. Not everybody's into it. And I say just, more power to you if you're not into it. But if you have a desire and feel limited by your income level, limited by your skin color, by your gender, by your sexual preference, if society isn't kind to you, then I feel like you call in extra resources. And that's essentially why I love angels, because it's a great balancing force, a great equalizer. Anybody can call on spirit. Spirit does not care what your income is, what your color is, what your gender is. So if you want to balance out the playground, then it behooves you to work with angels and to learn as much as you can about manifesting.
Spirit medium James Van Praagh, he's a genius at what he does, talks about manifestation.
Well, we want something to manifest in our lives. So we put it out there, let's say we visualize it, we meditate about manifestation, and we can have that if we stay with that frequency. Think of it like this. Think of it like a radio station, and that you're tuning into a certain dial, 106.7, right? You're on 106.7 and you're tuning into that, and you're really like visualizing, I want this, let's say I want this type of job, a type of relationship in my life, I want this material thing like a car, whatever it is in your life, and you're tuning into it, but there's a part of you which might not allow it, exactly like you're saying. So if your vibratory rate, and I'm just saying this 106.7 like a radio, so if your frequency or your vibratory rate is here, but you're only tuning into 96.7, you're not going to get it. See? So you're not allowing yourself to experience the fullness of that vibration, of that vortex, of coming into that oneness of being, and really into whether it's feelings of deserving, feelings of guilt, feelings of limitation, feelings of inadequacy, whatever it might be, you're exactly right. You're not feeling worthy, you're not at that vibrational rate. Yes. So if you really want to manifest, materialize, you have to be at that frequency. And the more one has a relationship with their true self, their spiritual creative being, and whether that's done through disciplines of meditation, whether it's done through contemplation and prayer, whether it's done through yoga, however you could quiet the mind and get to that space of creative self. We are all creative beings of God, and we can accept and allow ourselves to get to that higher frequency and receive and really manifest whatever we want in our lives. So we really have the abundance. It's within us. It's just having the awareness. So we already have the abundance, but it's having the awareness to bring yourself full to that experience, to that manifestation.
I like what he says there.
Yeah, me too.
It makes a lot of sense, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
To manifest like that, that's important. Must you manifest before you can accomplish something? Do you have to visualize it first?
Well, yes. I mean, you need to have an inspiration or have an idea in order to know what actions you need to take in order to make it happen. So yes. But for people who are interested in manifesting, I love to create a ceremony and ritual around it. So if you know that you are going to create your own company and you're shifting from 9 to 5 or over to your other gig or your new job, it's manifesting works really well if you create some level of ritual around it and you call in spiritual allies to come and support you, because it's like hiring a staff to take care of your needs, to bring you the right people, the right kind of support, the right ideas. But one of the biggest keys to manifesting that most people leave out is the fact that it's on you to finish the dream, because spirit and manifesting.
It's always on us.
Yeah. I mean, we can only do so much, but if you're still like, hey, I did this big ritual and then I prayed and then I called in this angel, but you're still like sitting on the couch, eating a slice of pizza, drinking a beer, and you're not getting up and actually taking action steps. Take the action steps first and then beer bong, do whatever you want, but take the action steps first. And a lot of people think spirit's just going to make it happen for you.
What has been one of the greatest angelic stories that has come to you, not necessarily on you, but that you've heard about.
One of the best.
Or maybe
and-
a client had something happen.
Ah, interesting.
Did they share their stories with you?
Yeah, I hear a lot of stories, and it's really touching. Actually, just this December, I was teaching a training on angel magic, and this woman, I was teaching specific skill sets, and this woman came in because her sister was in the hospital and had just gotten word that from the doctor that her sister didn't have much time.
Oh, geez. Those are the worst times, too.
The worst. So she had cancer, and then on top of that, had a very bad lung disease on top of that. And so
Everything that was going wrong was going wrong.
it was
for
going
this
wrong.
girl.
So, I mean, in order for doctors to call it, it's got to be really grim and bad. So they told her to start making arrangements and that she wouldn't have much time. So she got together, she called on Archangel Raphael, and she got together with a few members of our community to do prayer and to create a ritual around her sister's healing.
Sure.
The next morning, her sister texted her dying sister texted her, saying, "Hey, what's up? What are you doing?" And she hadn't really talked to her
She
sister.
was feeling better.
She was feeling better. And she called the doctor. Okay, my client called the doctor, and the doctor said something radical happened. By this morning, she was fine. She was looking around. We have her in a different unit. She's not in ICU anymore.
Oh, my gosh.
And within that week, she was fully released from the hospital.
Recovered?
Recovered, yeah.
That's a miracle.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
That's a miracle.
Miracles are real.
It's dramatic. It's really something. It works.
Wow, yeah. I mean, look, I am shocked. The reason why I spend so much time talking about angels is not just because it's fun, and it is a lot of fun, and it's not because I have this this need to proselytize. It's because it works, and working with the divine and doing this kind of work creates extraordinarily practical solutions to some of life's most impractical problems.
We talk a lot about aliens on these programs. How do we know angels aren't ETs?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if we do. It just depends on who you're asking.
You can't rule that out.
Yeah, I do not rule anything out anymore because I've seen enough to know I'm not ruling anything out. But just depending on who the eye of the beholder, to some people take great comfort in believing, that it's aliens that are here to help us. Other people take great comfort in angels. The angels came to me as angels, which is why I call them angels. But when you look at the old books in the Old Testament, and you look at Ezekiel's story with the chariot of fire coming down and wheels, and I mean,
It looks like a UFO.
It's very suspiciously alienish.
It's something.
Okay?
Something
yeah, so
weird.
I don't think that it has to be the strict separation between the two. I think we can adapt angels to the time. But I do feel like not all aliens are angels and vice versa.
Well, when you talk about Ezekiel's wheel, a lot of people have talked about orbs and what they may be. Are they angelic or extraterrestrial or spirits? Who knows? But author Stuart Pearce on the Gaia program Open Minds talked about that.
I never ever saw the angels as a human being with wings, looking, like, as you say, a blonde Caucasian, or indeed an angel with black skin, or yellow skin, or red skin. These beings were always extraordinary columns of light,
Yes.
or these brilliant orbs, which I learned early were plasmic forces, that they were refractions of photonic light, that they said we are plasma, we are made of fire, just as you are made of starseed, we are made of fire, and therefore we have a lineage that is corresponding. It's just that your physical form is somewhat different to ours. Yeah.
And that was very validating for myself, and I think will be for many, many people watching this, because I often see these orbs.
Yes.
I see certain colors of orbs around certain people, and when certain truths are being spoken, a very specific type of orb and color comes in. And I had always thought, gee, what a shame, I'd love to see those angels with wings, and I don't see, that's not how I see it. Just as you say, columns of light and orbs.
Yeah.
So this isn't that we're deficient in some way in our inner sight.
Yeah, no, it's very interesting, isn't it? Because now we're becoming more aware of all
Yes.
phenomenon, and vastly aware because of digital photography. But I do remember way before the digital photography scene became the fashionable thing, or became within our attention. where the angel said to me, what do you know about angelology? And the tone was almost scornful. I was chastened.
Yes.
And so what I did was to spend as much time as possible in some of the great libraries of the world, really delving into angelology. And there are some very considerable living mystics that were very useful to me. Such as the wonderful Rupert Sheldrake writing about the genetic field. And this unique conversation that he had with Matthew Fox, whose teaching I absolutely admire. However, there I was in these world great libraries, and reading about Hildegard von Bingen and reading about Dionysius the Areopagite, St. John of the Cross, and they all said angels are orbs of light. They were seeing orbs of light. So, I mean, when was Hildegard living? 12th century? Mm-hmm. So it's apparent that there is something very extraordinary about the geometry of the orb, or at least the circular manifestation. Mm-hmm. And I understand in terms of sacred acoustics that the very high vibrations of sound are also cyclic or orb-like when they move from the wave-like manifestation that we see into the very higher frequencies. Now, I'm not a scientist, so if anybody is listening to this and has corroboration of what that's all about, I'd be very interested.
Would you be disappointed if angels were extraterrestrials and not angelic?
Not at all.
You would not be. I would be.
You would?
Yeah.
Well, to me, I don't make a separation.
I want to know that they're, heavenly and godlike.
Well, maybe aliens are heavenly and godlike, or the right ones. Yeah, in my perspective, George, I've kind of looked at this when I look historically, even at cave paintings and how humans are right next to beings that look inhuman. What I know is that from the beginning of time, people have reported all over the world that there are beings here to support and help us. I do not care what they label them. I'm not attached to the religious explanation. I'm not attached to the alien explanation. I'm just glad they're here to help, and I will continue to work with them, even if their identity as aliens would be revealed.
How do you know they're not here to trick you?
Oh, that's a great question. And I think more people need to talk about discernment. So spirits, just like humans, you have to have discernment, because sometimes words don't match the energy behind what people say or what angels say. So in particular, a lot of people have a vision of an angel, but that angel might be telling you to do something weird. That would be a sign that it's an imposter. So we do have to kind of watch out, especially for people. I almost feel like people can be more dangerous than demons.
Well, that could be.
So I say watch out for the people first, but an angelic pattern is really specific. You will feel a sense of peace when it's an angel. You will not feel a sense of, what you won't feel is prickly or cold or like an emptiness. So it is important for you to really not just see what you're seeing and hear what you're hearing, but to feel the feeling behind it and put it to task. Mm-hmm. If it's a negative voice, it's a negative entity.
Will a good person attract a good entity?
Yes and no. I mean, really great people get hoodwinked by all kinds all kinds of humans too. So again, I'm equating it like based on your relationship with humans. If you need boundaries as humans, with humans, you're going to need boundaries with your spirit team.
So what you're saying is not necessarily?
Not necessarily, no.
I mean,
all of us
it's not a slam dunk. You're going to get a good angel.
Well, you're going to get good angels, but there's imposters and hitchhikers all around us.
Well, how do you distinguish the difference? How do you know that?
You learn to listen. And like I said, developing your intuition is so important in the sense that you have to know which voice is talking, because a lot of people listen to the negative voice.
Have you learned that?
I'm getting better and better, but yes, I mean, I've been working on this for 10 years. Yes. Yeah, but all of us are susceptible to dark voices, and I would almost rather call them dark voices than demons, right? It's like we're susceptible to negativity.
Isn't it?
What was
dark
that?
voices and demons, aren't they one and the same?
I think there's different kinds of dark voices. There's dark spirits, or maybe humans that haven't crossed over. You walk into a house and you feel oppressed, and you get out. The voice says get out. That's not necessarily a demon. In theory, sometimes it's just a cranky old man that never crossed over.
My neighbor.
You know him.
Yeah, I know him well. What techniques can people use to summon angels?
Like I said, one of my favorites is invocation. But again, just the awareness of knowing that angels are real, or you don't even have to know that they're real, just believing that
Believe
it's
that they are.
possible. You can be hyper skeptical about it. It doesn't matter. But act more like scientific about it. You can open it up and say, hey, if you're real, help me with this, whatever it is. And you can do more traditional kinds of invocations or prayers. You can light a candle. There's not a one size fits all for everyone, but there are more powerful ways to call on the divine, like invocation is one of them.
When somebody comes to you as a client, what are they asking you for? What do they want you to do for them?
Well, they'll ask for a lot of they'll ask for a lot of things, but ultimately I know that every client that's coming to me that's asking for help from the divine, what they're really asking for is peace.
Inner peace?
They just want peace. Many times they won't ask for that. They'll ask for help with their relationship. Can angels help me with relationship? Can they help me with my finances? Can they help me with my business? Can they help me? But they want peace.
Why do you need an angel to do that? Why can't they do it themselves?
Well, we are polluted with our history, with all the stories that we tell ourselves, with our trauma from there's just so many things that can go wrong, and it crusts us over and it closes our hearts. So working with the divine and asking angels to help, what it does is it doesn't put anything new inside of you. It helps that which is you, like the loving, peaceful being deep on the inside, start emerging. So angels help you come into deeper contact with who you naturally are. And the more that you take a practice of that, the more that the rest falls away. So I actually see angels not just, hey, come help me, but I see angels and walking the path with angels as a way to activate your consciousness, to raise your consciousness.
Can we succeed without tapping into the angelic realm?
Well, when you say we
as humans.
Sure, people can succeed. I think we can, but I think we're not going to get all the way there unless all of us have a reckoning with our spiritual nature and with our spiritual side.
Do you think every successful person has been helped by an angel?
Yeah, I think every person, period, whether they're successful or not, has had many interventions of support and help. And and that goes to, if you think about all the times a certain person came into your life just in the nick of time, I feel like that is divine inspiration or divinely. I think everyone can think of one person that came into their life where it's like amazing timing.
Predestined?
You can call it predestiny, you can use whatever words, but spirit is always colluding to support you. But it's our own resistance, our own belief in ourselves, and our own unwillingness to even admit that there's another world besides this 3D world that we can see. I think a lot of us are really cut off from that reality because of how many religions have kind of given spirituality bad press, you know?
Have you ever had a feeling that the angels let you down?
I have not, no. Because I also know that it's not the angel's job to make life wonderful 100% of the time. We're in a human body. We came here for a reason, and with life comes hardship. We have losses. We lose people in our lives.
It ain't easy, as they say.
It ain't easy, but angels can really help. I think the best word that I can say is insulate you.
Do you have to be religious to tap into them?
No. I was not a religious person when that activation had with me. I am still not religious in any way, although I have a deep respect for religion. I consider myself a mystic.
Will you continue to help people cross over to the other side?
You cross over to love. Yes, I have. It's about. I was given what's the word? I guess the blessing or the gift of
the gift.
The
you
gift
were given
of
the gift.
Yeah, and it came out of nowhere, and so I have no intention of hoarding it towards myself.
What's the most satisfying thing you do to yourself?
Like for myself?
That has come to you because of your actions.
I think the level of joy that I experience inside that I then get to connect other people with.
How can people get a hold of you?
They can go to my website,
Which is?
CorinneGrillo.com.
Corinne, thanks for being on Beyond
Thanks,
Belief.
George. I love being here.
It's great. You do a great job for people. Thank you.
Oh, thanks, George. So do you.
So if you need an angel, just summon it up. Chances are it'll be there, right?
Absolutely.
Thanks for watching Beyond Belief.
Hey again, Starseeds. I hope you really enjoyed that incredible interview. For more epic content, be sure to check out the links below and subscribe, like, and share this for more information. Until next time, I will see all of you in the fifth dimension frequency.